Good morning from Sussex. I am surrounded by trees displaying absolutely beautiful autumn colours on a very mild morning. We're actually at Wakehurst, which is Kew's Wild Botanical Garden and home to the Millennium Seed Bank, which is why we're here, because it is celebrating its 25th anniversary. Now, we're talking about seeds all this week here on Farming Today, so this did seem the obvious place to come. With me is Charlotte Lusty, who's head of seed collections here. Just explain what this place is for, Charlotte.
Well, this is where we can store for the long term wild species of plant through using their seeds and making sure that we can keep the diversity that's going to be really important to us in the future, whether it's for food and agriculture, whether it's economically important, or also whether it's on the road to going extinct, which is a huge proportion of plants. Even some of the most common plants have lost large parts of their populations. So we really want to keep that diversity to give ourselves the kinds of options we need to be able to restore landscapes and work with plants in the future.
Where then do you get all your seeds from? And do you request them, or do people just send them to you?
Well, it's been 25 years and more in the making, and Kew has developed some really strong partnerships, and we're very dependent on those. So often it's working with people in other countries who want to build their own seed banks, so we'll partner with them. They'll be building their own capacity and sharing their seeds, because another thing that's really important is not to put all your eggs in one basket. So a lot of these places, they need to duplicate. We call it safety duplication. So people who are keeping a reserve of seeds will send their seeds to us because we've got guaranteed beautiful facilities here, really great expertise at germinating seed. So we can work in the long term to make sure those seeds remain viable and in good shape.
And what about the next 25 years? What does that look like?
We're looking forward very much to building resilient habitats for ecological recovery, both in the UK and beyond. I've got a real strong conviction that we're going to turn some of the talents we had for agriculture towards developing robust natural habitats that bring back some of the things we've been missing from our agricultural systems, but in our urban environments as well.
We're going to roughly follow what happens to a seed when it comes here, and we're starting in the middle of this amazing seed bank. With me is Vicky Philpott, who is a seed curator.
So this is the cleaning lab, and we're about to go in through an airlock into the upstairs dry room. So this is where the seeds will arrive initially.
After you.
All come in, shut the door. The room in here is around about 15 to 18 degrees centigrade and about 15% moisture. So it's a lot drier than the ambient air, and essentially the seed's lifespan will double for every 5-degree drop in temperature and for every 1% moisture content reduction. So it really can extend a life by drying the seeds and keeping them cooler.
So when people are bringing seeds in, how careful do you have to be that they're not also sending you some disease?
We have to agree what species they're going to send, so there'll be a list and we'll check it, we'll agree it. And also in countries they have to send a phytosanitary certificate, they have to have been inspected before they come here. Also we're a quarantine station here also, so nothing goes in, nothing goes out, so we're very careful with our hygiene here.
So once you've got your seeds, what do you do next?
As you can see here, we have many crates from all around the world.
So this room is, every little cranny of it has a crate. And is that mainly seeds then?
Yes, indeed. So when they arrive here in the box, what we would do is we unpack them into these crates, because ultimately we don't want seeds to be sweating and going mouldy in bags. The best way to keep a seed is in a paper packet or a cloth bag. We've got collections from Ghana, Madagascar, Greece, South Africa.
And what sort of quantities are they sending?
A seed collection can be anything from one seed up to several million seeds, depending on the size of the seed. But also some plants don't set many seed, and they're all important. Hi, Lucy. So back into the cleaning lab.
Oh, you can really feel that difference in temperature,
Yeah.
can't you?
So we have these other two chambers which are different humidities. So if something comes in and it can't be dried as much, then they can go in there. And also we're dealing with wet fruits from the UK. So things like apples, holly, all sorts of things which we actually then have to remove the pulp from first as well. We wouldn't want to put them straight into the dry room.
So then they come back in here into the cleaning room. How dirty are they that they need cleaning?
It varies. These days we've done quite a lot of training, so it's not too bad. But ultimately, in the bank, we only want to store the seeds. We don't want leaves and twigs and other debris in amongst it. So here I'm aspirating a collection. We call it an aspirator, but essentially it's a column of air that splits the light from the heavy seeds, essentially. And these are a fabaceae from Mozambique.
What is a fabaceae?
So it's your legume, your peas and beans and things like that. And basically I put them in here.
So the seeds, which are like dark kidney bean shaped seeds, are all coming down one side of this, and down the other are just the odd little bit of fluff or leaf. It's enormously effective. That saves you having to just pick it out with your hand, does it?
And actually what it will do is also take the empty ones over, so we're left with a good seed on this side. Then we'll x-ray them, we'll take a subsample, and then we can do an x-ray to see what the content of the seed is to make sure we do have good seed.
Well, the seeds then come here to the germination room. With me is Dr. Chris Cockell.
So all the seed collections we have are germination tested before they go into the seed vault. There's no point in having seeds that are dead, so we need to make sure they're alive and can be turned back into plants.
Now, you've been working on a really interesting project, which is where you look at wild relatives of what are now commercial crops.
So yes, that was the Adapting Agriculture to Climate Change project, also known as the Crop Wild Relatives project. And that was really based on the fact that many of those wild relatives were missing from seed bank collections and therefore were not available for research or breeding. So the idea of that project was really to fill some of those gaps, working with 29 of the most important crops, find their wild relatives and bank those so that they're available.
Once you'd got them, how useful have they proved to be?
These wild relatives exist on the margins, if you like, so they're growing on the edges of farmers' fields in many cases, close to their domesticated cousins, and they show resilience. So whereas the domesticated cousins are watered and fertilized, they're weeded, these wild relatives don't receive any inputs from a farmer. Often they're considered as weeds, but it's that very weedy nature and their resilience that confers traits such as drought tolerance or heat resistance, or some that are found in estuaries, so that shows tolerance to salt, for example. We've really only just scratched the surface of what there is out there to collect. We filled some gaps, but there's still a long way to go, so we need to collect more wild relatives, yeah.
I'm in the atrium here at the Millennium Seed Bank, and this actually is an area where if you come to visit Wakehurst, you could come and have a nosy round. It's a really good nosy round as well, because there are actually big windows which look onto the labs where you can see people getting on with their work. With me is Ted Chapman, and Ted, you I suppose are sort of the end point of what happens to seeds here, because you are restoring using seeds. Just explain how that works.
Yes, so my work is focused on the UK. We're so fortunate here, we have fantastic seed collections from the UK flora, both trees and threatened species. But a big part of what we want to do is get the seed out of the bank and back into the landscape. And alongside the seed, also the kind of expertise that we hold in how to make seed collections, how to capture plant diversity, how to get seeds to grow into plants, and then how to manage habitats and landscapes so that they can thrive.
And what are you working on in particular then?
So a lot of our work in recent years has been in threatened species, so species reintroduction. So for example, we did some really interesting work on cornfield annuals. Those are a highly threatened group of species growing typically in arable systems, often with really fiendishly complicated dormancy requirements. So they need really precise periods of cold, warm, wet, dry before they'll germinate and grow. So I love the fact that we can use our collections here to understand what they need to grow, think about what that means about how to prepare a site for reintroduction and how to manage it so that these species can persist over time, and then provide seed or plants to enable that work to take place.
Why? That's an awful lot of work for a pernickety plant.
They are pernickety. I guess we would call them specialised. So species that are threatened are often highly specialised. They exist in particular places because they're brilliantly evolved to survive, for example, in a frequently disturbed habitat or a bare skeletal habitat. So that makes them special and unique, but it does make them challenging to work with. And of course we love that kind of challenge because it's a scientific one as well as a practical one. What do we need to know about these species and how do we interpret that for kind of applied use in the real world?
I'm just making my way to the vault, which is right at the heart of the Millennium Seed Bank. I'm going to meet up again with seed curator Vicky Philpott, who's going to show me around. Well, here we are outside the vault, and it is exactly as you would imagine. It looks like the door to a safe that you see in 1,000 heist movies. Why so secure? It's a bit over the top, it's just seeds.
Oh wow, they're worth a lot of money, to be honest. They're a very precious resource, ultimately. There's some really important seeds within this bank.
And there's an airlock.
There's an airlock, yes, so we should just go on in through that. So again, in here it's 15% humidity and about 18 degrees because we work down here, but we're not allowed to work down here for more than half a day though.
Why not?
Because it's kind of dry, like being in an aeroplane, we'd all be shriveled like prunes by the end of it, so we have to take regular breaks when we're down here as well.
So this room is like a very large lab, very spacious, big table down the middle with microscopes and then equipment on the sides. And then going off it are the cold rooms, and that's sort of the bank.
Yeah, so you are actually in the most biodiverse place on the planet at the moment. We have 6 cold rooms off here. They're freezers at -20, and when the fans are running it can feel like about -50 with a wind chill. When we go in there we have to put big coats on and hats and gloves too, and we have personnel alarms just to make sure we're not in there for more than 10 minutes as well.
Do you know how many seeds you've got?
Oh,
There's a very useful stat on the wall here.
We need 2.5 billion seeds, 40,000 different species and 102,000 different collections there from about 190 different countries. So there's a lot of seed in there. So a very big freezer coat to put on here, and then we have to wear our hats and our gloves too. So.
Even though you're only going to be in there a few minutes, it's cold.
Yeah, it is very cold. We can open the door, I'll show you.
Yeah. Inside there are, if you know, library stacks. It's sort of like library stacks on one side, and on the other side it's open shelving with these glass jars full of seeds, all identified only by number. So you genuinely don't know what you're looking at, unless of course you're an expert. The colours are amazing. It goes from really dark to bright red.
There's lots of different morphology, yes. Shapes and structures of seeds is quite amazing, really.
Good Lord.
There you go. You wouldn't think that was a seed, would you?
I mean, this honestly looks like something that somebody's made to string on a necklace. It's like a long, curved bead.
Yes. So sometimes we can't get the seeds out of their fruit, so we leave them in their fruit, and they can be banked like that if needs be.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And really quite cold. I'm going to just move back a little because my legs are really cold.
There we go.
Do you feel a sense of responsibility?
Yes.
Because if something goes wrong here, that's bad.
Yes, there are lots of safety backups in place, backup power supplies and things like that. But I've been doing this for over 15 years now, and I love it. I love coming to work with a sense of purpose every day. It's really amazing.
Seed curator Vicky Philpott there. And that's it from us here at the Millennium Seed Bank. I'm Charlotte Smith. The producer is Rebecca Rooney. And Farming Today is a BBC Audio Bristol production.